Thank you for coming back. If anybody did come back to watch, Average Joe's Who Know podcast. I'm Connor. Got
Um,
Matt. Just me and Matt today. Um, Matt, go ahead and give a shout out to the Vikings.
Shout out to the Taze Valley once again. First ever time making it to the third round of the playoffs. School history. That's awesome. They beat Worthington Kilbourne on Friday, 10-7. Defensive slugfest. And they travel to Zanesville this week, take on Massillon, Washington. The big dogs at D2. So, it'll be fun.
Be a tough
Hopefully they
matchup.
have the
Tough
greatest
matchup.
upset in high school football history. But
Yeah, be a tough game for them. But congrats to them making it that far. Um, yeah, good for them. Let's uh let's talk some college ball. First thing I want to talk about is we talked about last week. We talked a decent amount about Miami and how great their offense was, and mainly my dad was talking about how great their offense was and how it didn't matter how they didn't play defense. Well, it did matter against Georgia Tech because Georgia Tech took all the clock away. They did exactly what a team like Georgia Tech needed to do. They ran the ball, ran the ball, ran the ball. I mean, Haynes King could barely even throw. They brought the other kid in when they had to throw. They brought the other kid in, and when Haynes did throw, he would throw like a 2 yard pass down the field. But they did what they had to do to beat a team like Miami was these slow, methodical drives, just taking the clock down, and Miami's defense couldn't stop them. And then all they had to do was get a couple stops, and Miami went down. So,
Miami offense had just lost. They didn't have any tempo. What they do is they get, even if they let up points, let up quick drives, they get the ball, they go right on the field. So their defense on the field nonstop. They're just sitting on the bench, and they just go on the field, and they just, even if they did drive, they get down the red zone, Georgia Tech, bend, don't break. So they did all day, bend, don't break.
yep.
And Miami didn't score, Miami didn't win. And I think they finally, Georgia Tech's a good football team. Haynes King's really good. Obviously, he couldn't throw, but that's not even his best trait. His best trait is his running
Yep.
ability. So they took advantage of that, and finally somebody showed what Miami is.
Yep.
Frauds.
That's what I said. I said, well, you and me both said that they were probably the Florida State of this year, and then well, they got beat sooner than Florida State did, and their quarterback didn't even have to get hurt for it to happen. But like you said, uh, their offense couldn't get in a rhythm because they're so used to being on the field all the time because their defense just lets the other team walk all the way down the field passing the ball. But Georgia Tech didn't pass the ball. They ran the ball all game, and they just ran it right down Miami's throat the whole game. It's like Miami knew what was coming, and they still couldn't stop it. And Georgia Tech would just burn time off the clock, and the offense would just be sitting there on the sidelines just watching.
That's how Miami, even like Miami, they have the quick drives and a lot of touchdowns, but they get a lot of turnovers too. That's kind of how their defense is. They're going to let up a touchdown or get a turnover. And they didn't get any turnovers on Saturday because Georgia Tech just ran the ball down their throat.
Yep.
And the running back's a stud too. And they dominated line of scrimmage and dominated the football game.
Woody Hayes would have loved it because they didn't pass the ball much. Woody Hayes said there always said there was I think he said there was three things that could go wrong when you pass the ball: incomplete pass, turnover. There's something else. I think there was three.
I was watching an interview yesterday on Instagram, interviewing John Gruden, and he said when they won Super Bowl 37 and 02, they're the last team to go an entire season without going in the shotgun. They played 19 football games. They won 15 of them, including a Super Bowl. You know how many snaps they took from the shotgun? 0.
That's great. I love that. Well, you still see a lot of NFL teams go from under center, but
It's a
um,
dying breed. I mean,
it's because in college quarterbacks don't practice it.
no, they turned the gun nonstop. I mean, look at Fields. Fields finally had to go under center this year with the Steelers, and I mean, just preseason, early in the season, he couldn't take a snap from under center. He had three. I mean, he was fumbling 2-3 snaps a game.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we talked about Miami. They're frauds. There's not much else to say other than I told everybody so.
When we get to the rankings, we can also talk about their ranking. That
Yeah. Um, Georgia at Ole Miss, man. Ole
Did Dad
Miss.
call? Did he pick Ole Miss?
I did.
You did.
We both did. He picked them by 10. I didn't pick them by that much, but he picked them by 10.
I think I picked Georgia by then.
They ended up winning. They ended up winning by 18, right? 28-10.
Yeah.
Ole Miss dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, which is surprising because Georgia's got some dogs on the defensive line, just some big men, and Ole Miss had a clean pocket the whole game. I mean, even when the backup came in, I mean, backup comes in for one drive and he leads the team all the way down the field. I was like, that's what I texted you. I was like, oh, Jackson Dart's out. They're done.
And then right down the field.
Yeah, and then they get the ball back and go right down the field with the backup. I'm like, well, never mind. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for him. But I mean, obviously at the start of the game, um, Jackson Dart had the ankle injury because of pressure. But then it was like the rest of the game, it was like Ole Miss O-line was like, all right, that's not happening again, and they just completely stepped up. And Jackson Dart's tough because he did get twisted up there, and then I mean they spatted it up, and then he went back out there. I was like, this might not be good, but he played a great game.
Kiffin said his goal was to beat Georgia, and to do that, he had to go out and get recruits and transfers. He had to go bolster up his line of scrimmage defensively and offensively. And look what happened. I mean, they dominated line of scrimmage, which hasn't been done to Georgia. And, I mean, even their losses, they don't get dominated line of scrimmage. And, I mean, Ole Miss just – in every facet. I mean, Carson Beck, I mean, can we talk about that? I mean, his downfall this year has been insane.
That's what I said.
Not that about number one overall pick type. And now he's fifth round.
Yeah, fifth round.
I mean, I wouldn't take him. He's terrible.
No, I wouldn't take him. Maybe as a backup, but that's what I said. That I said Carson Beck has had the biggest fall off of any recruit. Maybe him and Denzel Burke after that Oregon game, but even Denzel Burke he's played pretty well since that game. But I mean,
Sean Wade after the Clemson game.
Yeah, this been. I mean, he's just completely fallen off the face of the earth, and it's like, I mean, then you see videos him over there laughing on the sideline and stuff, and then, then Kirby Smart gets mad at a kid who was
family, their friends
celebrating with family. Well, he wasn't even
necessarily. It looked really bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but once the story comes out, like,
and Kirby apologized, he said he shouldn't have called him an idiot, but still,
yeah, you got bigger problems in with that program.
Yeah, I mean the continuous reckless driving and speeding and racing. I mean, it's quite impressive how they do. There's so many different allegations. I wouldn't say allegations; they're true. They happened.
It happened. They should start a F1 team.
They'd win. They'd win.
They'd figure it out. But,
yeah. When you see Carson Beck, I mean, he's blown up on TikTok and Instagram with his new girlfriend, and he's got his Lambo, and I mean, he's got the life. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been terrible. I mean, his decision making, his accuracy, like sometimes he'll make the right decision, he'll just launch it over a dude's head, right to safety, pick. But Kirby, they ask him, Kirby, like, how are you, thinking about a change, thinking about this? No, Carson's our guy. He's competent, confident, this, that, and the other. And it's like, I haven't seen him actually do anything this year.
No.
Productive.
Other than throw interceptions.
I mean, yeah, they beat the hell out of Clemson, and he had a pretty good second half against Alabama. Alabama's pass defense sucks, for being honest. And I don't know. He's just like, I thought Georgia, honestly, this year, they were going to go undefeated and win national championship. And they just don't look like Georgia. Yes, so I think they still could possibly be that because it's Kirby Smart and they still have guys. Yes, but I don't know. They need better quarterback play.
Well, I think the biggest thing is this year they didn't get to play a cupcake SEC schedule.
No, I mean, their schedule's really hard.
Their schedule is probably the hardest in the country, but I mean, that's like another thing. We'll talk about it when we get to can a three-loss team, SEC team, make the playoffs because Heather Dinich and whatever said that it was possible. But they talk about how great Georgia was and they went undefeated and stuff all these other years in the regular season, and then for some reason Indiana's getting crapped on for having the 100th strength of the schedule. But Georgia and Michigan the past 2 years. Michigan last year hadn't played anybody um, when they were 8-0, and Indiana was in the same spot. I mean, virtually the same resume, and Indiana's 3, 4 spots below what Michigan and Georgia were at, and they hadn't played anybody. But Indiana's still getting all this guff about, oh, they haven't played anybody, blah blah blah. It's kind of like a double-edged sword here. Like, one like why does Georgia get so much respect and Indiana doesn't? I mean, Indiana has been walloping teams.
But the name on their chest. That's all it is. The name on their
Yeah,
chest.
yeah, name on their chest, name the decal on the side of their helmet is all it is, and that is a reason why a three-loss team in the SEC could make the playoff. But we'll talk about that once we get into the rankings and stuff because the rankings this week were something else. But next, Bama, Iowa State, Kansas. We're not going to spend too much time on this. All I had to say was Iowa State was never a legit team, and we can stop talking about them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're not any good. I mean, they barely beat Iowa earlier in the year. Like they've never been. They've played a pretty easy schedule. I do like Matt Campbell, their head coach. I think he's done good things there. But he also, when he really won a lot, he had Brock Purdy and Brees Hall. Big 12's stupid. I hate the Big 12. I kind of hope they don't even make it in unless BYU goes undefeated. Or, I mean, I think it'd be entertaining to see Coach Prime make it, even though I think they'd be like Colorado. I mean, hell, Colorado might have a bye. And let's be honest, there's a good chance Colorado, if they went out, they're going to have a bye.
Yeah, they're going to. They control their destiny to make it to the Big 12 championship, and obviously, if they win that, they're in.
They're going to be and they get to just automatically make a bowl game and play the winner of the probably 5-12 game.
Yep.
Which would be good for Coach Prime, but they're not any good.
No,
they're good in the Big 12.
Yeah, exactly. Basketball on turf, like my dad says, but I don't know. Iowa State. We don't need to talk about Iowa State the rest of the season.
The Big 12 and ACC can just go away right now.
Oh yeah, I mean they're just not on the same level as the Big 10 or the SEC. Not even close.
They're playing different sports.
Yeah, they're in two different universes. It's like they should be playing Division II, and Big 10 and SEC should just make their own division.
I honestly think if Boise State was in the Big 12 or ACC, I think Boise State would win both conferences. Because who's going to stop Ashton Genty?
That's true.
Anybody's going to tackle him? Hell no.
That's true. But I just don't. Their quarterback's not that good. Boise State's quarterback is.
Doesn't need to be that good. He just hand the ball to Genty 30 times.
But
he still throws 2 or 3 touchdowns a game.
But eventually, they're going to run into a team with.
There's Oregon. At Oregon, lost by 3.
Yeah, that was. But that was at the start of the season.
I know. I mean, the start of the season is such a, I don't want to say a joke, but like it's so different than.
If Oregon played Boise State today, I'd take Oregon by 2 touchdowns easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just can you tackle Genty? That's really all. If I saw Boise State.
I mean, that's what I was going to get to. Like,
not that easy. Obviously, he's a Heisman.
Yeah, but Boise State's playing against guys and 2-star, 3-star recruits. You play a team like Oregon, and now they know what Genty wants to do. I mean, I assume they kind of knew going into that game that Genty was their whole offense, but obviously they didn't know he was going to be doing this all season. But Oregon's got 4 or 5-star recruits on the defensive side of the ball. They play a team like that. Obviously, you didn't say put them in the Big 10, but I think they would struggle against a team like Clemson.
Would they?
Clemson Clemson has talent. I
Yeah.
don't know. They're not as well coached as they have been in the past, but they have they have talented players on both sides of the ball. The defensive side of the ball is what if they play a good, sound defensive team.
Yeah. Boise State's defense isn't great. Like they let up points.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously they don't play good teams, but that's what's. But I honestly, I do think if you have Boise State in the Big 12, they're winning that easy.
yeah.
ACC, I think they make the ACC championship at least. If they don't win it.
It would be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see. I don't
Is
know if
Boise,
they couldn't beat Miami. I don't
are
think.
they joining the Pac-12? Right? No, they stay in
What?
the mountains. Is Boise joining the Pac-12 in a couple
I
years or
think
next year?
so.
What I thought.
Boise State could not beat Miami. They can't stop their offense. It would be like the other teams that Miami has beaten.
Or then Boise State's just going to do what Georgia Tech did and just control the clock.
Yeah, but Boise State's defense is worse than Georgia Tech's.
Well, yeah, but Boise State's going to have 40 minutes of time possession and then score every time because who the hell from Miami is going to tackle Ashton Genty? Nobody. They couldn't tackle quarterback Haynes King. I mean,
I don't know.
they
That would be an interesting game for sure.
they could run inside zone and stretch 45 times.
Yeah, I think I think if you put them in the ACC or the Big 12, they'd win the Big 12 easy. ACC would be interesting to see, but if you put them in if you put them in either of the other two, they get killed.
They'd finish middle of the pack in the Big Ten.
Maybe.
I mean, after Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Indiana, Big Ten sucks.
They wouldn't beat Iowa. Iowa would just load the box the whole game, dude.
I think it'd be a fun game. I think it'd be.
It would be interesting to see if you put with Genty. Now, obviously,
Iowa just lost to UCLA. You're telling me Boise wouldn't beat UCLA?
I don't know. We're getting into.
You hate Boise State.
We're getting into a lot of hypotheticals here.
You hate the Smurf turf.
No, I don't mind the Smurf turf. I just don't think they can't compete. They couldn't compete in the Big Ten or the SEC. I think they will beat. There's teams that in the Big Ten that would beat them. Obviously, Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, Penn State would all beat them pretty handily. Maybe not Penn State. Penn State probably be a pretty good game, but James Franklin would make it a close game. But I think Wisconsin beats them. Pickle's a good coach. Yes. Wisconsin beats them.
Wisconsin stinks.
Okay. Wisconsin beats them. Iowa. Michigan would beat them this year.
Iowa put up 40 on Wisconsin with a backup quarterback.
I'm just telling you what I think. I do not think Boise State would do very well in the Big Ten or the SEC.
I guess there's still an outside chance. Boise's the 4 seed. It's tough. It's not like there's a Power 5 anymore. It's the top 4 conferences. And if whoever the Big 12 champ isn't ahead of Boise State, which is a possibility, Boise State gets first round bye, which is insane. But I guess we'll find out. We're going to find out in December how good Boise really is.
Yeah, we will.
I think they're good. I think they're going to give the 5 seed. Let's say it's Ohio State or Oregon, which is probably the most likely of who it's going to be. I think they'll compete in the first half at least.
It'll be interesting to see. Let's move on to Bama murdering LSU at Death Valley at 7:30 at night, and the fans rush the parking lot. My question is, did LSU know that Jalen Milroe could run the football? Did they know that going into the game?
We said if Alabama was going to win, Milroe was going to have to run his ass off. And he did. And not only did he run his ass off, he ran right through the entire state of Louisiana with ease.
I mean, it was like they didn't even know that Milroe was capable of running the football. It was just, I mean, I literally went to bed in the third quarter. I quit watching the game.
It's over. They brought the live tiger back on the field. I know it wasn't Mike the Tiger, but they brought the Tiger in from Florida or whatever, Omar, and they had the place sold out. College game day. Brian Kelly's on College game day. Talk about how whatever, and then they were offense was terrible, defense was terrible. They look like I'm like, well, never mind. LSU sucks. Like, so LSU still has an outside chance of going to the SEC championship.
Yeah, that's crazy. But it was just I was just so confused what their defensive game plan was going into the game. Like, you have to eliminate the quarterback run, or at least try to, and it didn't look like they tried to at all. It was just like he was running untouched at times. Like, there wasn't anybody even close to him.
Did it also confirm there had been reports that Milroe was banged up and that he was starting to get back to fully healthy? Did this confirm that he actually was banged up earlier when he wasn't running the ball as well and running the ball as much? And now he was fully healthy and turned back to what he was earlier in the year when he was just running all over the place? Because he looked like a different guy than he had the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. It was just, it didn't look to me like LSU's defense had a solid game plan going into the game.
Oh.
It just looked awful. And then obviously, like you said, their offense was terrible. Nussmeier was bad. 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown in a game to solidify your college football playoff chances and your chances going to the SEC championship, and you just shit down your leg.
At home, to be like that at home is embarrassing. Just flat. If they would have lost 35-34 or something,
yeah,
whatever. But they just got flat embarrassed from the start. From the absolute like that. And it wasn't close. Like, the entire game wasn't close. What is it, 21-6 at one point? And I'm like really? Like, this? Why is? I thought this game was going to be one of the games of the year.
Yeah.
And it just, or if anybody was going to dominate that football game, I thought it was going to. Even though I picked Bama, I thought it was going to be LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of proves to me Brian Kelly. I like Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. I did. And I thought if he went somewhere else, he could actually win something because, they just don't get the recruits at Notre Dame that these other schools get because it's just so hard to get into Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, man, he can do this at Notre Dame. Like, he can go anywhere. And if he goes somewhere else, and when he signed LSU, I was like, uh-oh, watch out. This is going to be really good. And I was wrong.
Yeah, he's a good recruiter. He's brought in talent, and supposedly that the Underwood kid sounds like he's going to go there.
I think he's committed there. Like, I know he's still visiting places.
Yeah, he's still visiting places, but he was there again for that game. He's pretty solid, locked in there. It sounds like. Yeah. So, obviously he's a great recruiter, but we've talked about just because you're a great recruiter doesn't mean you're a great coach.
I'd say he's obviously not going to. They're not going to fire him after this year. I don't think. I'd say they're going to give him another year at least. If he doesn't go to the playoff next year, I think he's gone.
Yeah, if they finish out the season with no more losses, I don't know who they play the rest of the season, but
I think they don't play.
I don't think they play anybody.
Their gauntlet's over. They don't have to play Texas. They don't have to play. I think their gauntlet's over. They play Vanderbilt.
Could be a good game, but I think if they'll finish season scot-free, and then Kelly's spot will be fine if they finish. If they don't lose a game the rest of the season, they'll be all right. He'll be all right.
This last stretch down to the SEC championship is going to be really fun. Ole Miss at 2 losses, Alabama at 2 losses, Georgia at 2 losses, Texas at 1 loss, but they lost by 15 to Georgia. They still got to play at Texas A&M.
A&M's still at the top of the SEC.
And you have LSU right behind them at 3 losses. Tennessee's still right there.
Yeah.
And
Tennessee's got 1 loss in the SEC.
Tennessee beat Bama. Bama beat Georgia. Ole Miss beat Georgia.
I think Texas A&M still has the top spot in the conference. And then it's Tennessee, Texas, and I was looking at it earlier, but it's like you said, it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out.
Because Georgia, Tennessee's, is this an elimination game this week?
I think it depends on how close Tennessee plays.
It's in Athens.
Yeah.
Tennessee has one loss, right? Tennessee's only loss is to Arkansas.
Tennessee's only lost to Arkansas, but they're number 7 team in the nation. Yeah, so Tennessee's at the top of the SEC. Tennessee's at the top. Wow. And then A&M, then Texas, but I think Texas is third because they've only played 5 SEC games. Pretty much everybody else has played 6. Georgia's played 7. So you got those 3 at the top with 1 loss. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Texas. So basically right now, A&M and Texas, whoever wins, you're in the championship.
Yeah.
And if Tennessee can find a way to win against Georgia, they're probably going to win the rest of the season because they play UTEP the next week, and then they play Vanderbilt. But I think they'll handle Vanderbilt. But so if Tennessee can win out, find a way to win. If they find a way to win next week against Georgia, that would be huge. But we're going to talk about that game. But I think there's a possibility Tennessee wins. I just don't. You don't know. It's SEC is just going to be crazy because I don't know. It's wild.
As much as like a crapshoot, it's like a different type of crapshoot in the SEC. They're all good.
Yeah, it's different.
And they all have to play each other. I mean, their strength of schedules is all like. I mean, let's be honest. Alabama has had to play so many good teams. Georgia's played so many good teams. Tennessee, LSU, Texas. They're all play each other. Texas. I mean, it's every week they're playing a ranked team almost.
Yeah, it's different from the Big 12. It's a different crapshoot, much different.
Big 12, they play Kansas and lose. Or
Yep.
Houston.
Yeah. All right, let's move to our
top 12
title contenders. Title contenders first.
I'd still say mine are Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State.
That's what I added Texas back after they looked really good against Florida last week. I added them back, but like this same 3, especially after watching Georgia against Ole Miss, that was. But my top 12, I got Oregon at 1, Ohio State at 2, Indiana. I got Indiana at 3, giving them some respect. Texas at 4, Penn State at 5, BYU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia, and then Miami's at my 12th spot.
So I did my top 12. I did my playoff 12 like I did last week. Oregon at 1, Texas at 2, BYU at 3, SMU at 4. I have the BYU over SMU because BYU beat SMU earlier in the year. Ohio State 5, Indiana 6, Penn State 7. They did look good this week against Washington, but Washington sucks. 8, Tennessee, 9, Notre Dame, 10, Bama, 11, Ole Miss, 12, Boise State. Ole Miss is 2 plays away from being a top 2 team in the country right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably number 1.
Yeah, that loss to Kentucky was bad. And then that loss to LSU. I mean, they had that game.
Yeah. They should have won that.
Yeah. That was fun.
Well, this week we did the opposite of what we did last week. This week you picked your college football top 12, and I picked just my top 12.
I did that last week. Your dad did. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess in my case it would be Oregon 1, Texas 2, BYU 3, and then Miami would still get the 4 spot because I have them at 12. And then OSU 5, Indiana 6, Penn State 7, Tennessee 8, Notre Dame 9, Bama 10, Ole Miss, then Boise State. So pretty much the same thing, except you had SMU beating Miami in the ACC.
I think SMU is a better ACC team than Miami.
I think I think it'll be a good game for sure.
It'll be if SMU can just replicate Georgia Tech's game plan, they'll win.
All right, can a 3-loss SEC team make it to the playoff? Heather Dinich floated the idea that 3-loss SEC team would not be out of the playoff.
I don't think they would. one, a conference champion can still be a 3-loss team, but like you're telling me if Bama makes it the conference championship and they lose to, let's say, Texas by 3, you're going to take Alabama out and put somebody else in?
Well, I think it depends on who else you're looking to put in. I think if you've got Indiana, if Indiana loses to Ohio State and they're on the outside looking in somehow, which I don't think they should be with how they play. If they play a close game against Ohio State, I think they should still be sitting in a pretty good position. But we'll see how the committee values a close loss to Ohio State. But I think if you're sitting there and you're looking at a 3-loss Bama compared to a 1-loss Indiana after losing a close game to Ohio State, I'd pick Indiana. What I don't know what you think about that,
but how far is that? Like, there's other SEC teams in there, so like, I think somebody else had to drop out. A 2-loss SEC team that didn't make the conference championship because of tiebreakers. And I feel like, but again, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're saying 3-loss, if we're saying 9-3 versus a 10-3 team, a 10-3 team is a lot different than a 9-3 team.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's possible. I think it's possible, but I think it's unlikely. I just don't see a 3-loss somebody making it to the SEC championship, because I think we're at the point where, I don't know. Because if A&M wins out and beats Texas and gets in, they've got 2 losses. If Texas wins out, they have 1 loss, SEC champ. And then I just find it really hard to find a path for a 3-loss SEC team to make it.
It depends on how much the committee values the strength of schedule. Because, if you look at Georgia, let's say Georgia loses to Tennessee this week by 3. They went out. I think they'll beat a cupcake team and they'll beat Georgia Tech. They won't make the SEC championship. Are they really going to drop that far?
But I think you're looking at a lot of movement ahead of them for that to happen. Because unless Indiana gets absolutely slaughtered by Ohio State or vice versa, if one of those teams gets slaughtered, if it's a close game, both of those teams are making it in. I personally think.
Do you think Georgia is a better team than Penn State?
That's a tough question.
Because technically, it's the best 12 teams. That's what it is. Or
if they lose to Tennessee this week, then I could definitively say no. They're not. I don't think they are.
Especially if Nico doesn't play, but he's still gonna. The rumor is he's like still pretty questionable in playing.
It's just I don't know if I can sit here and say that Georgia's far better than Penn State because of some of the games that they've played this season. Georgia, but they almost lost. They probably should have lost to Kentucky if Kentucky knew how to play football, had a quarterback that knew how to play football. That was just a terrible game, and obviously I know Kentucky beat Ole Miss, but we all know Kentucky's not a very good football team.
No.
But they've just, I feel like they're very
inconsistent.
Both of them, both Penn State and Georgia. I think both of them
beat Alabama. Georgia's played the worst first half of all time, and then Georgia goes to Austin and beats Texas handedly, and then they lose to Ole Miss by a lot. Like, I don't know what Georgia. If Georgia plays their best brand of football, they're a top 4 team in the country, easily, if not top 2. But we haven't seen it out of them, and I don't know if we're going to get it in these last 3 weeks. If they do, if they play Tennessee this week and just dominate them, and they play with how they think, Georgia's a better football team than Tennessee. Georgia should win this football game on Saturday, but I don't know if they will.
Especially if Nico doesn't play. If Nico plays, it's a different game. But
he's just not going to be that healthy, I don't think.
Yeah, but that's a great question. Is Georgia? Do I think Georgia's a better football team than Penn State? I think they have better coaching, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Georgia's like far more talented or that much of a better team. I think they're better coached for sure. And that would put them over the hump against Penn State. But Penn State's only lost is a close game to Ohio State, and Ohio State has some of the best athletes in the nation on the offensive side of the ball, and they held us to 20 points.
Yes, I
Um,
have. Penn State's just weird. I just don't know if I can trust them.
well, you can't trust James Franklin is the problem. You just can't
Yes.
trust their coaching and their offensive play calling. I really do think if Penn State was going to beat Ohio State, this was their year, and they could have won that game.
Yeah, they were in
Um,
the lead twice and didn't score.
and it was just bad play calling, bad coaching in Ohio State won not necessarily because of coaching, but because of Penn State's terrible coaching is was a big factor in why Ohio State won that game. I just don't I don't know. I feel like both of them are very inconsistent. Um, I don't know. I think we'll see this week when Georgia plays Tennessee, but I just can't see a three-loss team making the playoff. I just can't. I can't see a path for a three-loss team to make the playoff unless they do win a conference championship. And even then, I think it's going to be tough for a three-loss team to make the SEC conference championship.
I think the only way a three-loss team is going to make it outside the conference championship is if they go to the conference championship and come in at 10-3, which doesn't really count as three losses because they've made it past the. They were still 10-2, like the other SEC teams would be, but they just lost the conference championship.
It's just I just don't see a path for that.
Weird year of college football. It's been kind of unpredictable.
I that's just it's an interesting thing to think about, and we can thank Heather Dennis for bringing it into everybody's.
Question. I'm going to move on now to our thoughts on the TV networks that run college football.
Big Noon Kickoff can suck a fat one, is what I have to say. It is just I said so. Why does Ohio State, a premier name in college football, a top
Six
three,
straight noon games
yeah,
in the
a top three name in college football, and probably not three, and maybe not two. Um, they're carrying the weight for these noon games, and the fans got to see one night game all season. It was against Western Michigan.
Yes. The other night game was at Oregon.
Yeah, and that wasn't really. It was a night game for us, but not necessarily for them. That game started at 4:30. That's a afternoon game.
It's true, but
So
I mean,
it's just
I get it. Fox is like nobody had that noon slot. ESPN
Mhm.
was at night. CBS is at 3:30. Fox did what they had to do to get their ratings. But can we please pick anybody but Ohio State? Really? Like every single. Why was Ohio State and Purdue big noon kick? I know. Like I don't really care when that game was. That game could have been on ESPN Plus for all I cared. It was terrible. Purdue sucks. But really, big noon kickoffs at Ohio State Purdue.
that
Like
that should not be that Big Noon should not, that didn't make any sense to me at all. Like why are you at Ohio State Purdue? That doesn't Purdue was 1-7.
we're taking away Penn State's wideout to be
Yeah,
against Ohio State, so they can do it against Washington, who sucks. I know, like, when they kind of planned out at the beginning of the year, like when they planned Washington to be the wideout, Washington was national runner-up, but even then, we knew Washington wasn't going to be what they were last year. And I mean, Ohio State never gets a night game anymore. And I get Ohio State, Michigan. That game should be at noon. It's always been at noon.
yep.
But Indiana, like that game, even a 3:30, like at 3:30 November, like that's basically a night game because it'll get dark
Yep.
by this is part 20 minutes into the clock. Like
Yeah. 3:30 on CBS.
also, I feel terrible for the CBS people. They went from doing the premier SEC game every single week. And you know what they're doing this week? Penn State at Purdue.
It's just that's Big Noon is just killed. Well, that kills the atmosphere. I don't care what anybody says. Like I saw this video and he was like, the Ohio State fans need to shut the F up about Big Noon. Why? It's our, well, one, we're fans. He said something like, fans need to shut the F up about playing at noon. Well, I don't play at noon. The team plays at noon. So, yeah, they should be ready at noon. But as a fan,
Nobody wants that atmosphere. Nobody
no,
wants to get there and still be bright. Fans start tailgating at 6 in the morning. I think they'd rather start tailgating way earlier, or not way earlier, way later. And get ready, plan the day out so they can get there and it's dark. And Ohio State has the lighting and the red lights go off and the stadium goes dark and it's just the fireworks show. Like, it's a way cooler atmosphere. College football big games are meant to be played at night.
yeah, but we never get to see it at Ohio State because of Big Noon, and we carry their coverage. That's like Joel Klatt came out and said, "Well, we've covered this dude said that Ohio State needs to be cut a bigger check because we've played like way more games than anybody else." And Joel Klatt was like, "Michigan's played 18 games the past 3 seasons on Big Noon or something like along those lines, but not all of them are at Michigan." But Ohio State carries a big load for Big Noon since they've started it, and like this guy said, we're not getting paid any other extra money than these other schools are. But the fans are definitely feeling the effects of, and it's like the only people that like playing noon games are the old people who show up to the games and don't cheer, and they sit there the whole game, and then they get mad at people when they do stand up and cheer and get all rowdy. Those are the people we don't need at the games anyways, because that's why teams come into Ohio State and they aren't afraid to play there because it's not that loud. Unless we're playing against Penn State or another team like that, or unless it is the biggest game of the year, people aren't fired up.
I get it. I mean, they did the right thing for their coverage. They took the noon slot, but every single week they get Ohio State. Like Ohio State, Indiana, that would be way more fun at night. Especially Indiana's first time being good, and I get to watch it at noon. Really, I mean, I miss watching Ohio State's big games on at night, and with Kirk and Chris. And I get it; they're not with ESPN anymore. But like, I have NBC. How does Fox always get them? Like, I don't know how the picks work. I guess, but
well, Fox gets the top 3 picks.
Yeah,
and they traded their 3rd pick to somebody else so that they could get a bunch more other picks. Like it was like the freaking NFL draft.
Fox, yeah, because Fox has the most, or like Fox paid the most or whatever, and they get the top 3, and then CBS and then NBC. And here's the thing: Fox isn't even doing the Big Ten championship this year. CBS is. It's like a rotation. It's like the Super Bowl networks. They're going to rotate the Big Ten.
Well, and we can thank the Big Ten commissioner for it because he's just run it into the ground. Like no ESPN coverage anymore, which kind of sucks because, like you said, it's Kirk and Chris Fowler are the best, probably I would say the best duo in college football.
Yeah,
I love Chris Fowler. He's great, and then Kirk obviously is just all time. And who doesn't want to listen to those guys on a Saturday night? And now
they do a great job. Yes, I like what they've done with the SEC, even though I still think the SEC should be played on CBS at 3:30.
Yeah,
just because. But I mean, I love listening to them on the call, and I like how ESPN does games. But here's the thing: Fox still did 3:30. I mean, I know, I guess they've officially made it Big Noon, but they still. I remember Ohio State, Penn State the one year we were the Grays. It was 3:30 kickoff.
Yeah,
and I guess they're not gonna do that because of the whole CBS contract now. But yeah,
it's just annoying, and it's ruined. I think a little bit of the pageantry of the Big Ten, like Penn State whiteout, has pretty much been ruined. Any other year before Big Noon started, Ohio State at Penn State, would have been a whiteout, and it would have been crazy.
They played at noon. They played at noon the last few years.
It just sucks. I think it sucks, and a lot of people agree with me. Now, there's some people out there who are gonna be like, "Oh, shut the f up," blah blah blah. But well, we can complain if we want to. It's a free country, and we're fans, so that's what we do is complain, and so we're just gonna keep complaining. So you can shut the f up. How about that? That's all I'm gonna say. And he's probably not going to see this, but I hope he does because he sounded like a crybaby. All right, let's move into the games. We could sit here and talk about Big Noon all day.
You mean the one game this week?
Yeah, the one big game, Tennessee at Georgia. It'll be tough. It'll be tough going into Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, for Tennessee, especially if Nico doesn't play. And Georgia needs this win. So I think the win. I think it's all going to be determined by D-line O-line matchup though. Tennessee,
Georgia's favored in that.
Tennessee's beefed up their D-line though considerably.
Yes,
I think it'll be interesting to see because of how Ole Miss's D-line looked against Georgia's offensive line. I'm sure Kirby Smart will be up their asses about how they played last week, so they'll probably come prepared. I think they'll just come out prepared, and they need the win, and the fans will be rocking. I think Georgia wins, but depending on how Carson Beck plays, it could be a close game still.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what Georgia team's going to show. If Georgia comes out and plays their A game, I think Georgia wins by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If they play like they've been playing, I think Tennessee's got a real shot at winning if Nico plays. If Nico doesn't play, I don't think Tennessee wins at all. I don't really care how Georgia plays. But if Tennessee plays like they can and Georgia plays like they've been, I think Tennessee wins, but my official pick is Georgia.
My pick's Georgia. I think if what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. Well, I think if the Georgia team that played against Texas shows up, they win the game easy. If the Georgia team that's played against Kentucky and Ole Miss and the first half against Alabama, if that team shows up, they're in trouble. If Nico plays. Well, that was the only big game, so we'll move into picks. So last week I was 15-3, you were 14-4, and my dad was 15-2. He didn't pick the Missouri-Oklahoma game. I went back and watched it. He didn't actually say anything. He just said that'll be a slugfest because two terrible teams. And it was actually.
Oh, there's another ranked game. Missouri, South Carolina's this weekend.
Yeah, I ain't giving Missouri any.
South Carolina should win that.
Yeah, Missouri's not getting any airtime from me. All right, we'll pick the ranked games. Obviously, we both picked Georgia in the big game. I think it'll be close. I have it 24-21. If Nico plays, I've got it close. If he doesn't, then
I've got it 24-20, Georgia.
High State Northwestern, High State.
Go Cubbies. No. High State.
At Wrigley.
You see the end zone for that game?
Yeah, right next to the brick.
It's basically in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Don't throw it to a receiver in the corner end zone. That's the game.
Texas at Arkansas. Texas. Utah at Colorado.
Go Buffs.
Yeah, go Buffs. Go primetime, baby. Clemson at Pitt.
Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson. Pitt's
Clemson's number over the years, but Pitt's been reeling.
Tulane at Navy.
This one's interesting. Navy's lost another game since Notre Dame. Tulane's been playing hot. I think Tulane.
I think Tulane too. I'd love to see Navy win just because I love like this whole military academy. Like both
Yeah.
military academies playing well, but I don't think they've lost two since that. They've lost one since that. I don't think they win. And then Bama plays nobody. I mean,
Mercer.
we're both picking Bama,
Yeah.
obviously. Penn State at Purdue.
Go Boyle. No, I'm kidding. Penn State.
Boiler up, baby.
Yeah.
I got Penn State. Uh, Virginia at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. SMU. Oh, Boston College at SMU.
Boston College has benched their quarterback. He's now on leave. I love Bill O'Brien, but they're not that good. So give me SMU.
They're not as good as they'll be good in a couple years, maybe
I
if
think so.
BOB stays there.
Let them recruit.
Yep, I got SMU. Arizona State at Kansas State. This could be a good one. I almost put this as a big game just because I don't.
I think Arizona State wins.
At K-State,
Who gives
I
a
got
crap?
K-State.
Kansas State, as your dad said. What's his name?
Avery Johnson.
Not been playing good. Kansas State not been playing good. Arizona State, they're kind of fun to watch. They're kind of fun just in general. Give me Arizona State.
I got K-State. Oregon at Wisconsin. Oregon, obviously.
Jump around. Oregon by 2 touchdowns. At least 3 touchdowns.
We picked Tennessee, Georgia, New Mexico State at Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Washington State at New Mexico. Washington State.
Yeah.
And then Kansas at BYU, which
is only a 3-point spread.
Because Kansas has the Daniels kid back. I just don't. I think BYU wins it because it's at BYU, but man, they could give them a good game.
Kansas dominated Iowa State. Dominated Iowa State.
They only ended up winning by 7, I think.
Oh, or most of the game it was pretty one-sided.
I
think BYU wins.
I think BYU wins, but it should be a good game, honestly, which is crazy because Kansas State's won 4 games all season. Kansas has won 4 games all season. All right, let's move on to the NFL.
Let's talk the game. Let's talk Bengals Ravens Thursday Night Football.
All right, you want to talk games first? Bengals Ravens. That was
fun.
The best Thursday Night Football game we've seen since Prime started doing it. Since Prime Video started doing it.
That Bucks Falcons game a few weeks ago was pretty good.
But this one was
entertaining. This one was fun.
This one was legit.
Obviously, I hate both teams as an AFC North fan of the Steelers, and I hate the other AFC North teams with passion. But the Bengals were they're 21-7. Like offense was humming, defense looked pretty good. Ravens offense didn't look good. I was like, man, the Bengals might win this game by 2-3 touchdowns. And all of a sudden, Lamar became Lamar, and Derrick Henry. They started giving the ball to Derrick Henry again, and I knew the Ravens were going to win when Lamar ran 30 yards backwards at his own 10-yard line, and then ran down the sideline, juked 3 guys out, broke a tackle, and then got to the 1-yard line. I was like, the Ravens are going to win this football game. And then it was just a absolute offensive domination. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Jamar Chase owns the Ravens. The problem is, here's the Bengals' problem as a team. They don't play defense. They don't try to play defense. And that's why they lose. And their coach is an idiot. Zach Taylor sucks. I know teams go for 2, analytics, whatever, they're overtime crap. But kick the extra point, dude. At least give your team a chance.
Yep.
I know 2-point plays, I don't like them.
Well, the thing for me was Burrow had Chase one-on-one, and they were obviously manned up. I don't know why you don't just throw it to him. I don't care what route he's supposed to run or if he's the primary target. That's who I'm throwing it to.
You have to assume he was the number one target in that play. If he's
didn't
not,
look at him.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like you'd have to assume he was, but Burrow's reads, he looks right at the tight end. It's like, why? He just had 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like,
well, my thing is their defense completely failed Burrow and Chase, though. It's just,
well, yeah. I mean, obviously the Ravens' offense is really good, but it's every time they lose, it's usually the defense's fault.
Yeah, I mean you can't. I mean you can score a touchdown on every drive, but it's extremely hard to do in the NFL. And Burrow and Chase did. I mean they did what they could do. I mean
Burrow's having an unbelievable year.
Burrow
If you look
is
at
Burrow is. If we did the top 10 quarterbacks again, I would have Burrow at 1, just based off play. I would still have Burrow at 1. Now his team's record obviously is going to make people put him lower, but just based off play, he is my number 1 quarterback.
to do what he does, I mean, obviously he has Jamar Chase. T. Higgins has been hurt, so he doesn't really have him, and their other receivers are but with a limited run game they have with just Chase Brown and the other guy, Zach Moss, even though he's not really been playing at all, and their terrible offensive line, to do what he does is even more impressive. Like the Bengals are one of the best 4-6 teams I've ever seen.
Oh, for sure. If he was on any other team, they'd probably be undefeated. Maybe not any other team, but if he was on, say, let's just think of a team. If he was on the Bills, they'd be undefeated.
I don't know. Josh Allen's playing really good football right now.
He is, but I think Burrow has been the best quarterback in the league by a pretty good margin. I mean, I don't know if he's played necessarily a terrible game all season.
No,
Not that I can think of.
He's had some games, but like he hasn't been bad in any of them. It's just the Bengals. They just need to learn how to win. They don't win.
I feel bad for Burrow because the defense just failed him and Chase yet again, and it's the same thing we said. Well, we didn't talk about it, but same thing everybody was saying after they lost to the Ravens the first time.
Yeah, I mean that's another offensive slugfest, and they blew it again.
It's just I feel bad for Burrow because he's been through injuries and things, and obviously his O-line's still not great. I mean, it's better now than it was when he first started, but he's putting up video game numbers against the Ravens, and it's just the defense just fails. Like it's terrible.
All right, we can go to Steelers Commanders now. I don't know.
Steelers Commanders. I said great. I said it was a great game.
It was a game for sure. As a Steelers fan, the anxiety and levels and the blood pressure and heart rate were definitely high. That was one of the better wins I've seen as a Steelers fan in a bit. I haven't seen us come back from 10 points to a good team in a long time, I feel like. And I haven't seen us win a road game, especially a road game down 10 points, to a good offense. When it was 24-14, I looked at my roommates and said, we're going to lose. Because the Commanders just had the drive before half and the drive out of half. Bam, bam, score. Like, defense looks like crap. Offense isn't producing anymore. Because what really killed the Steelers was that fake punt. No, I think it was the right call. The audible went to, hey, if they come in to bring an extra rusher, throw it to them because nobody's going to be there. Yeah. And as an NFL player, I don't give a crap if you're a cornerback or not. I mean, pass it him in the chest.
I could have caught that pass. I mean, it was like the same situation when I caught that pass from Deontay in 8th grade football. You remember that? I was like,
that was a harder catch. That was a harder catch than that. And he turns his head. He gets the Commanders ball at 10-yard line. Commanders score. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then we get the muff punt. Russ played not his best game, but he still threw 3 touchdowns, which hasn't happened for the Steelers in a long time. It's been. His pick wasn't great, but it was 3rd and 11. It was a 45, 50-yard bomb. So it was basically an arm punt. And he made enough plays with he made a couple plays with his feet. And that dime on 3rd and 9 to Mike Williams was just, back foot, throw it up, welcome to Pittsburgh, Mike Williams.
Yep.
That was a great win over a good – Commanders are a legit team. Let's be honest. Commanders are good. I think their defense still has some question marks. They'll get Marshawn Lattimore, I think, this week. But that was one of the best Steeler wins I've seen in a while, which is going to be needed coming up with their gauntlet of a schedule, especially with Baltimore this week. It'll be tough.
A lot of AFC North games coming up. A lot.
All 6 of them within 8 weeks, including you still have to play Philadelphia at Philly and Kansas City on Christmas, and you have to play Kansas City after Baltimore on a short week. And you play Baltimore on a short week. You play 3 games in 10 days. Oh, the NFL really hates the Steelers, I'm going to be honest. I mean, whoever made the schedule despises the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They played really well up to this point, and I think, well, you covered it all for that game, obviously, but the only thing I was going to bring up was the dime to Mike Williams getting his first touchdown as a Steeler, but yeah, I mean,
second. That touchdown was obviously amazing. That body control to do that. But have you noticed his little antics or WWE moves he likes to do?
Pickens?
Yes. On the pick, he just straight. The guy gets to block him, and he just grabs him by the neck and throws him down. Or the Giants game 2 weeks ago, there was the Steelers fumble. Pickens is running down. They tackle the guy, and he scissor kicks the guy. I don't even know what he does. Or when he just caught the ball and just jumped up in the air and just punched the guy in the face and grabbed his face. He doesn't make sense at all. He is really, really good, and he needs the ball more. But he is – I saw somebody – I think it was a tweet. It was like, George Pickens was in ISS a lot as a kid.
Dude, I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, is he trying to start a fight and get kicked out of the game? I was like, I thought for sure a fight was going to break out after that between those two, and that they were both going to get thrown out of the game.
I mean, that's what was like his question mark coming out of college. Besides his ACL tear, was can this guy not fight anybody? Because in college, you just get up and punch a guy in the face.
He does not care if you say something or do something he doesn't like. He's going to let you know about it.
He's a bad dude when the ball comes up to him. But yeah, I mean the Steelers, they have a shot if they can win some of these division games. They should sweep Cleveland. They should be able to beat Cincinnati with Cincinnati's lack of defense, and the Steelers' defense just needs to stop giving up long drives. And they played well on Sunday against a good Commanders offense. Obviously, the one touchdown, they only had to get 10 yards. But after the touchdown come out of half, they had up a field goal, and that was it. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That's going to be a tough schedule for them. Chiefs-Broncos.
Well, I just want to talk about this game because
you hate the Chiefs.
The Chiefs are the luckiest team in the world. Are you freaking serious, Denver?
Hey.
Fuck. On special teams. Are you freaking kidding me?
They practiced. Apparently the Chiefs practiced that play all week. Rush inside, and they executed to perfection. I mean, that guard just got destroyed. I mean, right on his butt. And the guy comes through and blocks it. I mean, that's impressively coached. Obviously, it's really hard to execute. And they did it in the biggest situation. That's why they're great. That's why they're who they are. They played a terrible game. The Broncos had that game, should have won that game. Chiefs could not score in the red zone, but they're 8-0, 9-0, whatever they are. 9-0.
9-0. 9-0.
They don't have to play super good to win. They just win.
Oh, my gosh. I was so pissed when I saw that. Freaking, he goes to kick the field goal and then blocked. Oh, my gosh, dude. I almost had a brain aneurysm, dude.
We can call them a team of destiny, I guess, but if there's a real team of destiny, it's the Detroit Lions.
That's what I said. I said, we can talk about that game next. I said any team that can win with 5 turnovers is special.
5 turnovers on the road look terrible against a solid Houston team who got their receivers back and played well and still lost. Obviously, clap it up for Detroit's kicker playing in the UFL last year. making a 58-yarder by that much and a 52-yarder by that much to win the game. But that was, I don't even know. I mean, Goff hasn't had an incompletion, barely throws incompletions. Then there's 5 picks. I mean, obviously the one was a Hail Mary or whatever before half, but one, is Laporta, like, I don't even know if he was looking or not, but he was kind of like, they're after Lions got a pick. And he threw that one to Laporta over the middle, and I don't know if Laporta was looking or not, but it just didn't look right. Like, it should look like a punish should have been caught. But that doesn't have a pick. And the Lions, to stiffen up on defense the way they did, they got the turnovers they needed, got the punts when they needed them. They're really, 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 really good.
They're special.
They are special. I love watching the Lions play football. They run the ball. They throw it when they have to. And their defense is pretty dang good, which has been their fault, their downfall.
All I can say is if it's them and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I might wear a freaking Lions jersey because
99% of America outside of Kansas City, Missouri, will be the Detroit Lions fans.
The biggest Detroit Lions fans in the world. I'm so tired of seeing Taylor Swift and the freaking Chiefs, man. And
I love Andy Reid. I really do. I love Andy Reid.
I do. I love Andy Reid, and I like the Chiefs honestly until. Well, I'm not. I'm not a huge fan of Mahomes, just the way he acts. But I didn't mind the Chiefs until they started winning like crazy, and then
what the Patriots hated the Patriots when they won.
Well, and then Taylor Swift shows up, and that just put it on the next freaking level for me. Like, I'm so tired. I sit down to watch a football game. I want to watch football, and
the networks know what they're doing. They know if they show Taylor, they'll get more viewers.
But it's just I don't care. I don't care about your viewership. I care about watching a football game.
They don't care about you that you care or don't
they
care.
They should care because a lot of viewers, viewers like me and you do not care if Taylor Swift is on the television.
But they know we're going to watch, so they're going to try to get the other viewers that don't watch to watch.
That's the same thing. I didn't bring this up about Fox. Was Joel Klatt talked about how great their numbers are because they're the only primetime game at noon. Well, yeah, because Ohio State is on Big Noon the majority of the time, and Ohio State has the best viewership. It doesn't matter what time the game is. So, of course, you're going to have good viewership because
that's why they do it. They don't care, but we care. They care about money and viewers.
Well, the Swifties don't care about football. They just hope that Taylor shows up on the freaking TV. And Travis Kelce catches a pass.
Money for CBS and Fox and NBC.
Well, I don't care.
I know you don't care, but they don't care that you don't care.
Start showing some of the other wives, or I'm sure some of them are hotter than Taylor Swift. I mean, just start showing every quarterback or tight end if they got a hot wife. I want to see them. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. If you're gonna put a chick on the freaking screen, she might as well be hot.
I don't think that's why they put Taylor Swift on. If I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I know that's not why. It's because they want the Swifties to watch. But if you want some other people to watch, maybe put the hot people on the freaking TV.
I mean, she's impressive. She has the biggest fan base of all time. It's impressive. But
all right, let's talk. We're not talking about Taylor Swift. I don't have the time or energy for that.
Jets.
The Jets suck. What the heck was that? You look good. You win a game finally.
Cardinals are good. Jets just terrible. Their offense,
they got killed. I expected it to be a close game, and I picked the Jets to win. I was hoping they'd win. I thought it was going to be a close game. They just got out there and they just got dominated in every facet of the game.
I mean, good on the Cardinals. I mean, they're leading the NFC West right now, but the Jets just you got to win to keep your season alive, and then you go out there and get beat by 28.
Yeah.
Like Roger said, "Oh, good week of offensive practice, this that." Mm-hmm. Well, you scored 6 points.
Well, you said Cardinals are at the top of the NFC West, but 49ers got McCaffrey back.
Yeah, 49ers.
They played a good game against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are a good team. Those are two teams that should have better records than they do, and I feel terrible for Baker Mayfield.
The Bucks should be. I mean, they really could be like 8-1 right now. They
Oh
lose
yeah,
so many close games. Their schedule is so hard, and they play so many good teams so close, and just lose by a few points. I mean,
it's brutal.
they should have beat the Chiefs. Should have beat the Falcon. I mean,
Yeah,
it's. I think here's the thing. The NFC South's wide open still, and the Falcons just lost the Saints. Saints and
that was
Panthers
terrible.
are, but Bucks will play the Falcons again. Hopefully, I think the Bucks' schedule might get easier into this year, so the Bucks should pick up some wins, and that could be a fun race to the end. But the NFC is tough. I mean, Packers have 6 wins, Vikings have 6 wins. Obviously, the Lions are at the top of that division, so there's 2 wildcard teams out of the NFC North, and then you got Falcons, Bucks out of the South. NFC West, you have Cardinals, Rams, and Niners. Niners will probably win that. You have Cardinals and Rams battling out for a playoff spot. And then the NFC East is really just the Commanders. Or is not just, you have the Eagles and Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
NFC is really hard this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good teams. But that'll come December, that'll be a good argument with who's gonna be the playoff teams. But
Sure.
AFC is not as wide open.
All right, let's get into our top 10 after this week. Lions are still 1 for me. Bills are 2 still. Chiefs are 3. Nothing changed in my top 3. And I hope to God the Bills beat the Chiefs. I hope.
What a slate this week, though. Steelers, Ravens.
Yeah, we've got some good games.
4:30, and Chargers, Bengals at night.
Baltimore at 4. Steelers at 5. I think that'll be a really good game. Steelers win over Washington, I feel like really solidified them in the top 5 for me. I mean, I had Washington at like 7 the week before. I got Eagles at 6, Packers at 7, Washington at 8, Vikings at 9, and I put the Niners in at 10. With McCaffrey back, that team's going to be dangerous.
So I have Lions at 1. I still have Chiefs at 2 because they're undefeated. I can't not. That's the only team they're not better than right now is the Lions. Ravens at 3. I don't know. I think the Ravens are really good. Bills at 4. And really the only reason I have the Ravens or the Bills is because the Ravens beat the Bills so handedly on Monday Night Football. Eagles at 5. Steelers at 6. Commanders at 7. Chargers at 8. Did you watch Harbaugh's interview on Pat?
Mm-hmm.
I love Jim Harbaugh. He's so funny. You should see his video you should see him hyping up Justin Herbert. It is so funny.
Oh,
but
I've seen stuff like that.
It's kind of awesome. They had him mic'd up this week's game, and when Herbert had the one play, like held on the ball and still scored, and oh my gosh, I've never seen a coach talk about his quarterback the way Jim Harbaugh does. It is hilarious, but it's awesome.
I love Herbert. I like the Chargers. I just don't know. How good they really are. I don't know if they haven't played very many good teams.
Schedule, but I still think they're a good team. Niners at 9. I know the record's not great, but they're still the 49ers. And then Packers at 10.
Okay. All right. Let's get into some of the big games. First, tomorrow night, got Commanders at the Eagles.
At Philly, both teams coming off. Philly kind of had it easy with Dallas because Dallas sucks. And they're just in such turmoil right now. CD's complaining about the light. Jerry says, don't worry about it. I'm not changing it. So he's an idiot. Your players can't even see, but it doesn't matter. Eagles are playing hot. It's going to be tough. I think Philly's defense is really good. Give Jaden Daniels some problems because he just came off probably his worst game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how he bounces back as a rookie. He's not playing like a rookie this year, but he still is. That's a really big division game for him. So we'll see. I'd say I'd take the Eagles. I think it'd be a close game. I think it'd be less than 10.
Oh, I think it'll be a close game. I got the Eagles. I think it could be a lot of points scored just depending on how the defenses play, but I think it'll be a close game. And obviously you got Saquon. It's just it'll be a good game.
Yeah.
All right. Talk about the Ravens at the Steelers. At home
I,
in Pittsburgh.
it sucks. It's at 1 o'clock. I think Steelers Ravens should always be a 4:30 or 8:30 game. But it's just TV network CBS protected it, so they couldn't flex it out. And obviously Bills Chiefs is at 4:30, so they're not going to double those. But so historically, Lamar has struggled against Steelers. Highsmith is out for Pittsburgh, which kind of sucks, but they should get Nick Herbig back. And they have Preston Smith to fill that gap with Highsmith's low ankle sprain. TJ Watt. Patrick Queen's coming off his best game as a Steeler since we've got him, and he's playing his old team, so hopefully he comes out firing. And Ravens, their run defense is second to none right now, so it'll be a tough challenge for Pittsburgh to run the football. But their pass defense is like the worst, or like 30th.
It is the worst, I think.
So Russ, get Mike Williams fully into the offense this week. He was limited last week, obviously, coming out short week with the team. I don't know if he'll be fully back, but he should have more snaps. I think Calvin Austin might still be hurt, so I don't know. But because I just signed a punt returner and Jamal Agnew. If the Steelers can limit Lamar and Henry as much as possible and still come out and score enough points, they can score. The Steelers can score 24 to 28 points. I think they win the game. They still could. Obviously only. They're averaging 30 right now with Russ, so they should score against let's say 16th ranked Baltimore defense. Steelers defense just needs to make stops, probably get turnovers. Steelers Ravens obviously going to be a physical football game. It's how it always is. It's going to be close. So we'll see. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
If you get Pickens involved against that pass defense, I'm taking this. I'm taking the Steelers at home. Big win at home.
Oh, that'd be huge.
Chiefs at the Bills, man. Oh my gosh! If the Bills do not win this game, I tell you what, I'm gonna have my Josh Allen jersey on. I'm gonna be the biggest Bills fan this weekend.
It's in Buffalo, right?
It's in Buffalo. In Buffalo. Only problem is my biggest thing is Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman could be out again. Well, Keon Coleman is out. They already ruled him out. And Amari Cooper is questionable. I think without those two, it'll be tough for the Bills to win. If Cooper plays, that helps open up Shakir some. I and just the Chiefs have not played a good game all season, I don't think. And if the Bills can just put together enough good football against the Chiefs, they can win the game because of Josh Allen, and Josh Allen's an X factor. And obviously Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and he's an X factor too, but he just hasn't been the same Mahomes that he has in the past. And I just think if Cooper plays, I got the Bills. But if he doesn't play, honestly, it's a crapshoot because the Chiefs almost lost to the Broncos last week, and the Broncos are a pretty good football team, but they're not as good as the Bills.
No. Yeah, the receiver's kind of a question mark right now. Allen just has no weapons if they're both hurt. Even if Cooper plays, it's still without Coleman. Kind of sucks. But they got Dawson Knox. They got Dalton Kincaid. So it's going to be a challenge for Buffalo. But at the same time, these two teams know each other really well. And let's be honest. They know each other really well. They know what they're going to do. It's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere in Buffalo. I think if a team's going to hand Kansas City their first loss, it's going to be Buffalo.
I sure hope so. I said Bills, please win for the sake of mankind. I'm tired of watching the Chiefs win. It's just and then just the way they're winning is just so ticky tack, and it's just pisses me off. It would be the greatest thing if the Bills just went out there and went belt to ass, which I don't think is going to happen. I just said I think it's going to be a close game, but I've got the Bills because I can't. In a game with two good teams, I'm not going to pick the Chiefs. I will not do it. So I'm picking the Bills because I feel like the Bills are good enough to beat the Chiefs. All right. Well, let's talk about Bengals Chargers too. That should be a good game. I think that's probably the other last big game that I want to talk about. I didn't write it down to talk about, but let's talk about that one. We got time.
Chargers, the Bengals are more explosive, but the Chargers are going to do what Jim Harbaugh teams do. They're going to ground and pound and hit the big plays when they need to. And their defense is a lot better than Cincinnati's. If they can limit Jamar Chase to 150 yards or under, they're going to win that game. It's just they're gonna score on Cincinnati. They're gonna run J.K. Dobbins down their throat, and they're gonna hit Quentin Johnston or Ladd McConkey and Herbert. Trey, they limit Jamar Chase and limit Trey Hendrickson. They're gonna win that football game by 10 points. Now, do I think it's not that easy? Obviously, it's easier said than done, but I still think the Chargers are gonna win.
I'm a big fan of both of these teams, honestly. I just like the way they play. I love both the quarterbacks. I love Burrow and I love Herbert. But I want to see the Bengals win just because I feel like Burrow's played so freaking well this season and he hasn't gotten rewarded. So just because I want them to win, they're getting my pick. So I got the Bengals just because I want Burrow to get a win so bad. And then the rest of these games, we'll just make picks. We don't need to talk about the rest of any of these games. Yeah, the Jags at the Lions, Lions obviously. R Rams at the Pats. I got the Rams. Browns at the Saints.
Saints.
We got the Saints. I got the Browns.
Oh.
It'll be a bad game, but Colts at the Jets.
That one's kind of tough. Anthony Richardson's back.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. Give me the Jets.
Yeah, I think because Richardson's back, give me the Jets.
I kind of wish it was Flacco was still playing. That'd have been kind of fun. Rodgers versus Flacco.
Yeah.
Like 2015 all over again.
Vikings at the Titans.
Vikings.
Vikings. Raiders at the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Dolphins. I got the Dolphins. Beating the Rams last week was big for them. I thought that was
Raiders suck.
Yeah. Packers at the Bears.
Packers. Bears are in. Bears fired everybody, and their team doesn't even want Caleb Williams to play.
Yeah, Packers. Caleb Williams sucks. Falcons at Broncos.
That one's tough.
We probably could have talked about this one.
I had Denver. I think Raheem Morris has a good game plan for Bo Nix, and they're not going to lose to a rookie quarterback. And Cousins has a good game after last week's game against New Orleans. So give me the Falcons.
I got the Broncos. I want to see Sean Payton and Bo Nix succeed.
I do too, but I still think they're going to make the playoffs. But I don't think they win this week.
I think they win it. Seahawks at the Niners.
Niners. Seahawks have been playing really bad lately, and Niners got McCaffrey back, and they're playing like the Niners again.
Yep, at the Niners, I got the Niners. Then we picked Bengals, Chargers. You took Chargers, I took Bengals. Mm-hmm. Texans at the Cowboys.
Texans.
I think so too. Cowboys have just been so bad.
Cooper Rush stinks.
Yeah, it's
Michael Parsons hates Mike McCarthy.
CeeDee Lamb hates Jerry Jones, probably.
They all hate Jerry Jones.
He needs to be put in a retirement home, is what somebody said.
He's an idiot.
Well, all right. If anybody's still watching, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next week.